October 25th will, of course, be a new era, as it will be UFC 321, as Tom Aspinall looks to defend his undisputed heavyweight title against two-time title challenger Cyril Gane. Now, of course, there's a lot of things that people like to say. Obviously, the first one is Aspinall should probably be on his second title defense, as the whole, oh, John Jones isn't going to fight Tom Aspinall, and obviously, as we now know, he did not fight Tom Aspinall. And the thing is, Cyril Gane is coming off of a very controversial decision against Alexander Volkov. People believe it should be Volkov fighting for the title instead of Gane. But I guess you could say that the people up top, they didn't want to see it because obviously it would have been a rematch of a not-so-close fight. But anyways, the undercard is actually not that bad. It's actually kind of good. You got Alexander Rakic fighting after a whole year, fighting an undefeated opponent, which is very interesting. We will not be talking about that. Alexander Volkov is on the card fighting Jailton Almeida, who most likely will be the next challenger for the title. And of course, a bantamweight fight, title contender fight. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. I do believe this one also, the winner will fight Merab, whether it's a rematch with Umar or it's Mario Batista, because obviously Umar had a very close fight with Merab, or okay, close in terms of rounds, right? But the actual fight, it kind of turned one-sided, right? So obviously, very good. Obviously, you have a strawweight women's title fight. Obviously, as Weili Zhang is looking to move up, or is moving up to fight Shevchenko, so she vacated the title. Apparently, UFC just doesn't want double champions anymore. All right, that's whatever. But besides that, the ones we will be talking about is Volkov, Almeida, Nurmagomedov, Batista, and of course, the main event. Now, of course, Jailton Almeida is 22-3, 8 wins by way of knockout, 13 submissions, 1 decision. 3 losses, 2 by knockout, and 1 by decision. He has, first of all, his first loss in a while is against Curtis Blades, which he lost by knockout in the second round, in a very weird takedown attempt. But it does not matter. He lost at the end of the day. The last time he fought before Curtis Blades was back in 2018, so obviously it's been quite a bit of time. And he is coming off of a knockout victory against Sergey Spivak, which is actually his very nice. Obviously, one of the weirdest things for Almeida was the fact that he, obviously you could tell from his record, his fights rarely ever go the distance. Yet they call him a boring decision merchant because he went the distance with Derek Lewis. And don't get me wrong, that fight probably was really boring, but the thing is, bro, this is like his first decision in like goddamn a decade, and you're making fun of him for that? That's crazy. But besides that, he's facing Drago Alexander Volkov, 38-11, 24 wins by way of knockout, 4 submission wins, 10 decisions, 2 losses by way of knockout, 3 submissions, and 6 decisions. So obviously, a lot more on the durable side. Obviously, his most recent loss was a split decision loss to Cyril Gane. Obviously, very controversial. People believe Volkov won that one. But before that, assuming he would have beat Gane and got the decision, he would have had a nice comeback. Obviously, he lost kind of recently. He won some, he lost others. You get the point, right? He lost to Tom Aspinall back in 2022 in the first round. So obviously, yeah. But then he went on a huge win streak where he kind of went back up into the rankings. And yeah. But besides that, obviously, Volkov is known for his, obviously, striking ability, being long, lanky. Okay, that's kind of the same words, right? But very long, very awkward. Good kicks. Overall, a very good striker. Almeida is quite literally the opposite. One of the best grapplers in heavyweight. Obviously, people were actually asking for Aspinall versus Almeida because it was quite literally one of the more interesting matchups in the division. Obviously, you would have Aspinall, who's obviously now known for his knockout power, but he has some submission wins too, versus a absolute monster on the ground against Almeida. Would have been very interesting. But, of course, the winner will most likely get that title shot. Now, here's 2 ways it's going to happen. Either Volkov is going to knock out Almeida in the first round, which is very much possible. Obviously, we saw how he lost to Curtis Blades. Very weird. Or Almeida will try to ragdoll Volkov and submit him in the second round. And I think the second round submission win for Almeida is a wee bit more likely for the sole fact that, don't get me wrong, Volkov is very good on the feet. But I think I think Almeida just straight up just learns from his mistakes. Obviously, just jumping in against Curtis Blades is not a very good plan. And this dude just that straight up just ragdolls you on the feet. He has very look. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. Almeida's the difference between Almeida's wrestling and Volkov's wrestling is a lot bigger than Almeida's striking versus Volkov's striking. Is what I'm trying to say. Almeida's roughly around the better fighter, very strong, very dominant on the feet. Now, of course, Volkov kind of like a sniper on the feet, picks at you from long range, which is obviously a very good thing. Being goddamn 6'7", god damn, dude should have been in basketball, right? But nah, give me Almeida by second round submission win. I think this is just one of those things where the guy Volkov gets the short end of the stick, getting robbed against Gane and getting ragdolled by Almeida. No offense to Volkov. But obviously, you have the next fight, which is a very interesting one. It's two high-level grapplers, I guess you could say. Obviously, being Umar Nurmagomedov, former title challenger. I mean, okay, obviously he's former title challenger. He can't really be a current title challenger unless he's, well, fighting for the title. But besides that, Mario Batista is 16-2, 3 wins by way of knockout, 6 submission wins, and 7 decisions. That's very important. 2 losses, 1 by knockout and 1 by submission. Obviously, he's been a huge win streak. The last time he lost was by knockout back in 2021 against Trevin Jones. And then he also lost to Corey Sandhagen by submission. So obviously, very interesting. But he's then had a humongous win streak, beating people like Damon Blackshear, Ricky Simon, Jose Aldo, and Patchy Mix, obviously, in his UFC debut. And in all those wins, it's actually half and half. He's on, I think, a 6-fight win streak. Half are decision, half are by submission. Very nice. And, of course, he's facing Umar Nurmagomedov, 18-1, 2 wins by way of knockout, 7 submission wins, and 9 decisions. Very interesting. 1 loss, that being by decision, in his last fight against Merab Dvalishvili for the title. Obviously, people like to say how Umar was, I don't know, robbed in that fight. I don't know. But the thing is, it was a very close fight that it didn't immediately warrant a rematch, but the fact that there was literally no one else in the division that really made sense for Merab. It made much more sense for the rematch to happen, but that's besides the point. He has beaten people like Corey Sandhagen. That's about it. That's about it. Of course, they always made fun of Umar because he never fought a ranked opponent, yet he kept climbing the ranks. Very interesting. Until he was given ranked number 2 Corey Sandhagen. And then he won, and then he got the title shot, and then he lost. So, it's very interesting. But of course, Batista has not the most, it's kind of like a light version of Merab. He does the same thing. He constantly shoots takedowns and he constantly holds you against the fence. The difference between them two is that Batista is more than content with just kind of just keeping you on the fence. Unlike Merab, who, hey, if he has a chance to take you down, he'll take you down. And he'll keep doing it. Obviously, Merab's cardio is most likely way better than Batista's. And I do believe this is a 3-round fight, so unfortunately for Batista, Umar is not getting tired very quickly. What I'm trying to say is Umar's wrestling is really good. Obviously, he's also been in decision most of his wins, so that's very interesting. But the fact is, the grappling, no one's going to get a submission in this fight. I don't think so. They're not going to get a decision. The difference is Umar will have enough in the tank to win a decision. I think 2 rounds to 1. I don't think it's going to be that dominant for Nurmagomedov. I do believe Batista shows a wee bit more depth into his skill set. Obviously, we've seen what he can do. We've seen what he's capable of, but he's more than content of, riding a wave to a decision win. But unfortunately, this will not work out in his favor, as Umar is slightly the better wrestler, and Batista won't be really able to kind of wear him down like he usually does other opponents, because obviously he's no Merab. But besides that, the main event of the evening, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for the heavyweight title. Now, of course, once again, a lot of things to say, which we'll talk about later. Cyril Gane, Bone Gammon, obviously actor as well, is 13-2, 6 wins by way of knockout, 3 submissions, and 4 decisions. A well-rounded fighter. 2 losses, 1 by submission, and 1 by decision. Obviously, his losses come by John Jones and by Francis Ngannou. So obviously, some very good people. He's also beaten Junior Dos Santos, Rosenstrike, Alexander Volkov in their first meeting, and Derek Lewis. He also beat Tai Tuivasa, but And Sergey Spivak. Obviously, he's coming off of the controversial split decision win against Alexander Volkov in their rematch, where many people believe Volkov should have gotten the nod. But besides that, he's facing the now newly crowned email champion, Tom Aspinall. 15-3, 12 wins by way of knockout, 3 submission wins, and no decisions. Keep that in mind. 3 losses, 1 by KO, 1 by submission, and 1 by other. Once again, no decision. Tom Aspinall has never gone to distance, which is very good for himself, but also very good for Cyril Gane. If he makes it that long, let's be honest. He lost to Curtis Blade, which was his knee injury, which was his knockout loss, which makes no sense. He lost back in 2016 by illegal downward elbow, so I guess he's trying to copy John Jones, and submission in the beginning. So, obviously, he has not lost to anyone really recently. That's good, right? He did beat, in his 3-fight win streak, Sergey Pavlovich, which was a very good fight. I don't know what were their odds, but I picked him to win, so I feel very good for myself. And Curtis Blades in the rematch, both in the first round. Actually, Tom Aspinall, out of everyone in the UFC, I don't know if it's current or of all time, but he has the shortest time in the octagon. I think it's like, I don't know what the time is, but it's like super short. Tom Aspinall is not there. He's not there. He doesn't get paid by the hour, is what they like to say. He doesn't get paid by the hour. And another thing is the fact that he's facing Cyril Gane. Obviously, Cyril Gane did not look that good in his last performance. Let's make that very clear. He did not look good in his last performance. But then again, he was off a pretty big layoff, damn near a year and like a couple months. And obviously, he was facing a very unorthodox opponent in Volkov. So obviously, and also it was a rematch. So Volkov already kind of knew who he was fighting against. And he was obviously coming off of the better wins, obviously, against Sergey Pavlovich. So obviously, the momentum and basically a lot of the things were not going Cyril Gane's way. But Cyril Gane, in his best, top form, is the best striker in the division. No doubt about it. He makes strikers turn into wrestlers, obviously John Jones. He is, as they would say, a heavyweight that moves like a middleweight, a light heavyweight. He, on his feet, he is clearly unmatched. Now, obviously, they like to show a lot of clips of him not being able to really punch effectively when he's trying to finish someone. Best striker? Indeed. Best finisher? Yeah, we have other candidates, right? And Tom Aspinall, he's quick on his feet too, but let's make it very clear. On the feet, Gane is unmatched. But the one thing that goes in Aspinall's favor is that Aspinall can eat Cyril Gane's best punch. I don't believe Gane can do the same. Because obviously you've seen the fight with him versus Pavlovich. He ate a very strong punch from Pavlovich. And obviously, at that point in time, Pavlovich was seen as an absolute monster. Actually, the odds were 50-50. Damn. And he is seen, well, very good. He's very good. And like I said, Gane will most likely not be able to take Aspinall's best punches. The difference is, what's going to happen first? Is Aspinall will be able to break through the defense of Cyril Gane, obviously him being the better striker, him being able to mostly evade Aspinall's punches for the most part, assuming he's at his best in this fight, versus will Gane be able to land enough punches to damage him? That's pretty much it. Because Gane, once again, is not a one-punch knockout artist, but he doesn't need to be with his skills. Yeah, he doesn't need just one opportunity to land. He makes his opportunities. And not to mention, Aspinall crosses his feet quite consistently. He's very, what I'm trying to say is Aspinall makes quite a bit of mistakes in his striking, where I'm not saying he's getting bailed out because of his power, but he's kind of getting bailed out by his power. And he's finally fighting someone who is either on his level in terms of striking or better, which is most likely the latter, him being better. So what I'm trying to say is this is a very, very close fight. I think it's going to be very competitive. And I think this will be one of Tom Aspinall's longer fights. And obviously, by the way I worded it, I do believe Tom Aspinall wins. I think he wins, I'm going to say it, third round stoppage victory. That's right. I think we're going to go to the third round. I don't think it's going to end in the first. I think Gane's too nimble, too quick to be able to get caught by Aspinall. But obviously Aspinall is also known to be a very good wrestler. And Gane, not so much. But the difference is I think Gane kind of leveled up in that department to the point where I don't think he's gonna get submitted in that way. But anyways, obviously I have Almeida second round submission win, Umar decision win, and Aspinall third round stoppage victory. But anyways, who do you guys have winning these fights? Leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.